She loves her clipboard. I was going to say she's going to talk about her clipboard because she loves a clipboard.
It's actually right here.
Yeah, power of the clipboard.
Got some notes
Logan,
on this floor plan.
I saw does it open?
It's similar. It looks like a clipboard with storage. We love
Yeah, I think I need a new one because this one is kind of old. I'm sure they make better ones now, but it opens. Right now, I've just got some Sharpies and a couple name tags in there. And then the bottom opens. Pens, usually I put a little lipper in there. Yeah, there's a paper clip. There's a binder clip in here.
You're opening that like it's a Polly Pocket.
Well, don't get me started on the Polly Pocket because I do have it right here.
I know. You also have that.
Might bust that out.
Welcome to Beats Working, winning the game of events, where we share stories and strategies to turn any event or life moment into something unforgettable.
Events are wild, and the people who work in them are some of the most resilient humans on Earth. If you know, you know.
So come with us behind the curtain for a look at their most memorable experiences.
As they say, the show must go on, so let's get on with the show.
Welcome back to Beats Working, winning the game of events. We are so excited to have some fellow event podcasters in the house today. They just are much more experienced than we are. So we are grateful for our event podcast senseis today. Meet Logan Clements and Mary Davidson. They are co-hosts of the Better Events podcast. They have over 15 years of combined experience in event planning and production, and they are on a mission to help others create, host, and attend better events. That's the goal we're all after, guys.
Snaps for that. Snaps for that.
Logan is the founder of Logan Strategy Group, and she brings her expertise in show flow and multicultural event production. Mary is the driving force behind EP Events, and she manages purpose-driven nonprofit and community events across the country. That's right, people. She travels wherever you are. That's where she'll go. Through their podcast, they serve up practical tips. I've got a whole bunch of those from them myself. Honest conversations.
We don't do that here, Libby.
We're going to start copying off of the smartest kids in class, the most effective, and they are here. And a welcoming dose of real talk. They're very relatable. So we're so thrilled to have them. Whether you're just starting in events or you're a seasoned planner looking to up your game, they are championing collaboration over competition. They speak our language, and they are ready to spill the secrets to making it all work. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, we're so excited.
This is so fun because, we don't normally get to talk to other event planners that know each other as well as you two know each other, like we know each other. So I'd be really curious to hear how did you guys meet? What was your meet cute situation?
Logan, I want to hear this from you. I want to hear Logan's perspective.
It's the different meet cutes. Ooh, was it the same story? Let's hear.
Yeah. Well, our listeners of the Better Events podcast, I feel like have probably heard this story ad nauseum, but I actually credit my late mother-in-law with introducing us. She was on the board at the zoo that Mary worked at, running all of their events, and she knew I did events, and so when we went to one of the zoo events, she said, "Logan, meet Mary," and Mary was quintessentially doing what event planners do on site and running around. So I don't know, Mary, if you truly remember, or now just have a fake memory of meeting me, but I remember like, oh, Mary seems nice, and then she ran off. And then our true meet cute was during the start of COVID. I found out we were both pitching for the same virtual event to be the planner. And we essentially would have been competition don't fully know the process. But I was like, well, there's not a lot of work going around. So I might call her and see if we just pitch for it together, because I knew she had really strong Pacific Northwest ties in the event industry. I was pretty new before COVID, but I was pretty strong on the production side. And so we partnered up, and she said, I was very grateful. She said yes. And then we weren't competing against each other. We were working together, and the rest is history. From there, she gets credit for having the podcast idea. And I said, why not?
That's awesome.
What I miss, Mary.
I mean, I think you covered it. I just remember having conversations about like, there's this girl named Logan, and she's in China, but she's coming to the Seattle area and she does events. And I'm like, someone in China that does events is moving to Seattle. I'm like, my mind was blown, because my understanding of the industry at that time was like, I just could not comprehend that the world of events was so big, because mine was so small. But yeah, I think you covered it. And we've seen pictures, like I've been going through, past event photos, and I've sent Logan some over the years. I'm like, hey, this is a picture of you. Like,
remember when?
Yeah, we didn't really know each other, just of each other. And I happen to have this picture of you on my computer, which feels
that is
creepy.
so funny.
But now you have them. So
that's happened. I've had that experience too. That's fun. So that's your meet cute story. You both remember it. Very, very work romantic. How did each of you know you even wanted to get into events in the first place? Like, is this something that, like, when you look back at your childhood, you're like, yeah, it was always there?
Because this was an accident for me. I mean, looking back, or like, this makes sense, but it was not, I was never like, I'd love to go into events. That wasn't what I thought I'd be doing.
Yeah, for me, I mean, when I was little, I always wanted to be like a teacher or something like that, and very soon realized that wasn't actually what I wanted to do. But I think I kind of fell into it as well. My parents tell me, oh, you always like to do the planning. I'd have, friends over for like themed nights, and we always did the stupidest stuff, so many like blackmail photos from high school of us doing things, So that's my story. I think Logan, you might have a similar kind of story, but yeah, I think this is kind of in my blood. What about you, Logan?
We did do a bonus podcast for our like paid community that had our mothers on for Mother's Day. And it was quite funny that they both had very similar, like, we knew it all along. Like, once they got into it, it makes sense. But I think it's more like looking back, right? Hindsight's 2020.
Yeah.
I definitely stumbled into events. I always knew I wanted to work in sports, and I was an athlete growing up all the way through college. And I think I just thought I had to work for a pro team or work for ESPN. And I completely missed the whole piece of the pro sports puzzle that is logistics and what more would I do? Entertainment. And so I got into marketing with sports in mind, and then we would attend events. And then I worked at an agency where the marketing team would help out the events team whenever things got busy. And I actually went out on my own and started my own company because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, if I wanted to be more marketing or more events, but I needed to create space. And over, that was almost 9 years ago. And those first like 2-3 years, I realized I really like the people side of things and the being on site than the like behind, on social media kind of content creation, me and my laptop. So kind of fell into it. But I definitely, if you look back, I'm the oldest sibling. So oldest child, oldest daughter, always kind of planning and organizing people and knowing where we're going when. So like that all aligns when you look back, but I did not have a dream of being in the event industry.
Yeah. Our boss, Dan, I'm not going to get the quote correct. Basically, it's like, if you're in events for more than 3 years, you're just certifiably insane, or it's something like that. I don't know. It's nice. It's said with love. And I'm always like, you're right. Cause I haven't done like a big event in a while. And I went and helped our logistics team in Vegas a few months ago. And we were like 12 hours a day. It's like shipping. It's a different thing than being the actual event producer. But Alysse was like, how's it going? What are you doing? I was like, there is something wrong with me because I love this. I love being in a convention center 12 hours a day. I didn't want to leave. I wanted to stay. They were like, we're going to go. And I was like, we could do like 2 more hours of work. We could reorganize this. We could do this. They're like, no, leave. It's like something is wrong with me. So Dan's correct. He's right.
I saw a post on LinkedIn about someone was posting about, the Tomorrowland Festival, the main stage caught on fire. Did you see that? It was like,
of course,
did anyone see this?
No.
Yes. Their huge main stage. Go look up a picture because it's intense. Like part of their stage caught on fire. And I don't remember if it was like how far before the event started that it happened, but it was like close enough. People were freaking out. And there was like the comment section of like event planners that was like, just another day. And it was crazy.
People never know. Mm-hmm. That's what it was supposed to happen. It was supposed to catch on fire. It was part of the show. So how you guys collaborated in 2020? Have you done any other events together since then? And what kind of events do you both specialize in? I know we kind of touched on it in the intro, but what is your kind of sweet spot, favorite little event niche to live in?
Yeah, I think, 2020 was our first time working together, and we, up till this day, do at least a handful of projects a year together. And it's funny, Mary will hire me for things. I hire her for things. we have definitely fallen in. We talk about community over competition all the time. And both of us have only been able to, get busier and charge more and all good things for both of us with that collaboration. I have definitely fallen heavily on the production side of an event. So I say anything with a microphone and a stage, but the stage is a very loose term. So most recently I was doing some producing for women's professional softball. So we were in a touring model going to different cities, and I was the one in the booth cueing the national anthem, cueing the t-shirt toss, telling the MC when to talk. Anything you saw or heard if you came in person was scripted and planned and rehearsed by myself and my team. But I can also do a corporate sales kickoff, and we're coaching CEOs and PowerPoint decks. So, and then I do some nonprofit stuff as well. But sports are definitely my favorite in the sense that I don't feel like I'm working. I do feel like I'm like, oh, I get paid to be here. I would probably be here as a fan anyway. And I just get tickled with any mascot moments and just some of that little stuff that you have more freedom in the sports realm than you do in corporate. So, and I do mainly production and then show calling as well. So queuing and doing that. And so that is pretty complementary to what Mary does over with EP events.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And for me, basically everything Logan said, I specialize more in fundraising events. I say like nonprofit events are my jam. But similar to, I think, what a lot of us do, we get pulled into other events and types and things like that. So done other things, but the majority of the work that I do is nonprofit events. And like, I think a good example of this is Logan and we worked together on an event in April or May this year. It was a really large like fundraising dinner, and Logan was the like producer. So Logan, you like made the production run of show, did the rehearsals with the tech team, and kind of like ran the show as a show caller. And then I was the on-site event manager. So we were working together in these different roles for this event that worked together really nicely.
That's very much like what Alysse and I would do. Alysse is more of the production show caller. I've made her MC things before, and I am like working off that timeline, contact list, production schedule, like checking things off. I always like to print it out and put it on my clipboard.
She loves her clipboard. I was going to say she's going to talk about her clipboard because she loves a clipboard.
It's actually right here.
Yeah, power of the clipboard.
Got some notes
Logan,
on this floor plan.
I saw does it open?
It's similar. It looks like a clipboard with storage. We love it.
Yeah, I think I need a new one because this one is kind of old. I'm sure they make better ones now, but it opens. Right now I've just got some Sharpies and a couple name tags in there. And then the bottom opens. Pens, usually I put a little lipper in there. Yeah, there's a paper clip. There's a binder clip in here.
You're opening that like it's a Polly Pocket.
Well, don't get me started on the Polly Pocket because I do have it right here.
I know. You also have that.
Might bust that out.
Logan, do you have a favorite sport?
Oh, it's usually probably the one I'm in, whatever that is. I've been doing a lot of volleyball, softball, and basketball would probably be the three. But some of my most favorite events to work are I've done the Olympics, which has been amazing. And then I've done Olympic adjacent events, which I did the Pan American Games, the Parapans, and the World Games, which Parapans and the Pan Americans are Olympic sports. And it's a lead up to the Olympics. It's usually the year before. And then World Games are summer sports that have not become Olympic sports yet. So like softball is an example that was an Olympic sport and then got dropped. So it went back to the World Games. But there was also things like life saving and like drone racing. Those are World Games sports. And it's sports that are trying to prove that they are big enough to make it into the Olympics, but they're often like on that teetering level. And I love those because I've told anyone I'm a fan of sport in general. So I will learn whatever technical part and then apply my knowledge from the entertainment side. So yeah, this summer has been a lot of softball and a lot of volleyball for 2025. And I'm a big fan of both.
Is pickleball at the World Games yet?
Not yet. I wouldn't be surprised if it joined. I think I actually put that on my hit list for the next 3 years as I want to work a pro pickleball event. I've done some tennis. So again, I'm just curious of the nuances of it. Padel is another one that's coming out of Spain that's very similar to pickleball and racquetball. I think it falls somewhere more in the middle. That's picking up. So
Padel. Okay.
Yeah. Very.
What is life saving?
It's
like literally saving a life, like
literally
like a swimmer?
saving lives.
It's like a swimmer, and think like what your lifeguarding skills would be. So you're not saving a real live human. They have dummies, but there are certain skills you do to like for speed and things like that.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
You know
if you're
what?
bored, just go to World Games, Google it.
That's so
look up
interesting.
the sports. There's
I
something
could
for
totally get
everybody.
behind that as a sport. Fun fact, I hope no one here ever has to go there, but I did go to Great Wolf Lodge with my children last year for, I want to say it was definitely less than 24. It was like 18 hours. And they were like, we're leaving. We're done here. I mean, we were leaving that day, but it was only for one night. But the next day by like 9 a.m., they were like, I got to get out of here. I was like, great. I'm not going to fight you on this. But their lifeguards are constantly, I feel like some of them could enter the life-saving thing, except only if like eye scanning is a thing. They literally are going like this. Like I don't know what, it's like the technique, like they're very attentive, and there are signs everywhere that they have dummy dolls. I don't know what this doll's name is, like William or whatever. It's Great Wolf, whatever. But they'll throw a fake doll in the water, and the lifeguards have to just be prepared to get it. So there's all these signs like, don't freak out if you see this, someone throwing a fake dummy in there. It's not really somebody drowning. It's just an exercise for our lifeguards.
See, and that concerns me because I always joke, any sign you see that sounds silly, you're like, oh, there's a sign because someone did that.
There's a reason for it.
Like,
yeah,
there's a reason behind the
for
silly
it.
sign. And that one makes me concerned that they have a lot of incidences.
God, I don't
People
know.
not making it or having serious injury.
There were just
That's
people everywhere, but I was like, I am not going to ask to go back here ever again. So
You're actually selling it for me. Now I want to go. I want to see the dummy in the water.
there were some super fans there, kind of like Disney's got super fans, but people had like all kind of wolf gear. They had like, there were people who were there for probably like a week. They were coming in with like their suitcases and like tons of food. And like, it was fascinating. It was fascinating. We did talk to a woman at the pool it was her 6th day there. We were just like,
How?
I don't
How
know.
do you last more than 24 hours?
I don't know. I didn't even make it that long. We didn't make it. So in a game of Survivor, they would win. We would lose. The Sundgrens would be out in Great Wolf Lodge Survivor. Anyway, they might want to look into that world game event. I don't know what the training is.
Did you know that the pickleball was actually originated here in the Pacific Northwest? There's a little fun fact. Yeah.
I did.
I'd heard that since being here. And I guess my partner's from the area. That's why we relocated here to Seattle. And he remembers playing pickleball like in the early 80s. His, like gyms, like in gym class, you would play it, but it wasn't as big of a craze.
I actually, in my senior high school yearbook, they asked all the seniors to say what you want to be when you grow up. And I said I wanted to be a professional pickleball player. So I just want to point out that I was a trendsetter from a young age. Like that's my jam, trend setting.
Well, you haven't made it yet, but there's still time.
Well, games and sports are a lot like events, meaning you don't exactly know what's going to happen. Like you go in with the plan, but you don't exactly know what's going to happen. So how are you guys? What tricks of the trade do you have to roll with the punches of when things do go sideways, like stages catching on fire or somebody not showing up?
Oh my gosh, like what a good question. And I feel like there's so many answers to that. I'll start high level and then we'll get down into it more, Logan. I think for me, I want to trust the partners that I'm working with. So if like we were just at an event and the stage started to cave in on itself during the event, it was a festival. So, those are already kind of like wild. But the stage started to cave in. There's a spot that like you could tell that looked unsafe, and like the MC was like, don't step on that, like, and I'm like, has anyone addressed this issue, or are we just okay with it like being caved in like that anyway? But the production vendor fixed it, so my point is like really trusting the partners. Obviously there are things that we can do, but a lot of the things have to do with the vendors that we have hired to support this work. And so really making sure that they are empowered to be able to make those decisions, I think is a huge part. So that's probably where I'll start to answer, is just not having not micromanaging situations and having vendors be able to troubleshoot. Logan, what would you say?
Yeah, Mary knows this. I love a backup plan. And I think backup plans are useless though, unless you actually tell people about them. And so I will And it's controversial for some because I feel like they think you jinx it. But almost every speaker I work with, I will talk to them about what should happen, what will happen if their mic stops working, and what to do, and how long do they keep. Like if it's a headset microphone, I say if it blips for a second, just keep talking. If it goes out for more than 6 seconds, no, Jeff here or Jenny here is going to run out to you with a handheld microphone. And the whole point of talking about it is, yes, maybe you're creating that scenario, but also then when it happens, you avoid some of the panic that happens to like, oh no, something happened and we don't know what to do with it. And I had an example where it didn't work because Mary and I worked an event together and I had a backup plan. And I guess we never stepped through it of what we'd have to, it was a hybrid event of like what things we'd have to click on to activate this backup link. And sure enough, our video blipped for a bit. And I was like, Mary, let's go with the backup plan. It was like, wait, what? It's like, oh, nope, not helpful if I just had talked about it in my head and not like we hadn't done a dry run of it. And luckily things came back up and it was, the difference of 10 seconds or something. But I often do not have audio issues at my events, but that's the big one. I like, if I were a speaker, I would want to be treated very empathetically and someone to tell me what to do if something goes wrong. Cause I want them to look like, oh, they mentioned, somebody would be coming kind of thing. And it's not always the most popular. I have some clients who are like, we don't want to talk about what would happen if things go wrong. And I go, yeah, but if that were you up there and you knew, okay, someone's coming to me with a handheld, you'd feel better than just standing there like a fish out of water without able to talk in front of 2,000 people. So
yeah,
I would want to know. I do a lot of public speaking. I would want to know.
Yeah.
I want to know what plan B is, what's plan C.
Did you get prepped for that when you did your speech earlier this year, Alysse? Did they tell you what to do? Do you remember?
Do I remember?
It's okay.
I don't think I remember.
Yeah, not everyone does it. I mean, I definitely
don't know
now
that I remember.
I
was really
you
nervous
to
about
ask.
the PowerPoint behind me because it was, once it started, it was on a timer. It was automatically sliding every 15 seconds. And so that I was very concerned about my pace matching the PowerPoint. So I think I was more keyed on that than I was if the microphone went out. I'm so loud anyway, like losing a microphone is not something that would rattle me.
They probably turned off the
at all.
microphone when you got up there.
Yeah, probably they did.
That's such a good idea though. And I get why people would be like, I don't want them to feel like panicked, but if you don't say anything, they're going to stand there and start, it's so much more obvious. They start looking around. They're like, and they're just caught off guard. Like you said, it's way easier to recover if you know who's going to run out to you.
And your delivery is so important with that, right? It's not, and I mean, we joke with new people getting into the industry, you don't really know if people can handle events. Libby, you mentioned earlier, like you loved being at the convention center. Like I think people see the glamour or you're doing the fancy things, you're meeting the fancy people. This seems so cool. Totally. And I said, you don't really know if anyone has what I call event chill until they're in a stressful situation. And you can see, can they absorb that stress and present the calming presence that like maybe screaming would feel good right now, but would that help everyone around you? Probably not. And so you need to be able to take that deep breath and be that calming person. And so that's with backup plans. I'm like, can I say it to you in this calm manner of just like, hey, on the off chance that this happens, we've triple checked batteries, but this is what will happen, is a lot better than like, oh, just so you know, because another show we had this thing, like there's a delivery of it that,
totally.
I mean, I joke, that's why I have a business as a producer, because I say I am that like calming presence between sometimes the tech team that can be a little too techie and too in the weeds. And then the corporate folks or the client side that maybe are almost like too formal and too risk averse. And I'm that middle person that can be like, I'm going to tell you how it is, but also I'm going to say it in a empathetic and, polite way. So,
and so many attendees don't even realize if something goes wrong, right? Like, it's behind the scenes, but so many of them would know. It drives me crazy when someone is on stage and they call out something that went wrong that no one would have noticed. That just drives me absolutely insane. Yeah. Like we were just at an event and the MC, he like played a video before introducing someone else. It was supposed to go the other way around. And so when the person came up after the video to do their part, he was like, oh man, you skipped me or something. I was like, no one would have known that you got skipped. If only you had said nothing.
You just kept going.
Yeah.
I liked what you said too, Mary, about empowering, like trusting, but also really empowering the team that you're with. I think when I first started, it was coming from a good place and a scared place because my boss at the time, not Alysse, somebody else, she was like my boss's boss's boss. She was very scary. And so I didn't want her yelling at me. So to avoid that, I was way too like wanting to control every component and like totally micromanage people, I'm sure. I mean, my husband will tell you that I'm really good at it still to this day, but I've gotten a lot better. And it really is like, and it's like very freeing for an event producer to be able to have somebody show up and just like giving them the reins and the freedom to do what they're going to do and be like, yeah, whatever you decide to do is fine. Like you're going to do the right choice and it's going to be fine and nobody's going to know. And it's not the end of the world. We're going to make it through it. This event I did maybe, I don't know, 10 or 15 years ago. It was at the Delta Airlines hangar. We had 2,000 people. It was this big anniversary party for the magazine I was working at the time. And it was huge. I mean, I got more steps during those event prep days and the takedown day than I ever have in my entire life. You could not yell across an airplane hangar. I kind of thought you could just yell to somebody, but no, you literally cannot. You have to call them or radio them. But I had a vendor, so many great vendors, but one vendor in particular, Tuxedos and Tennis Shoes Catering, Amanda Austin, now Amanda Haggerty, shout out to you. She came up to me at one point and was like, hey, we were out of this. We needed this. I took your keys because I was parked, right outside the hangar. She's like, I took your keys. I drove. I got this stuff. I dropped it off. I just wanted to let you know. So you don't need to do anything, but I have the receipts. I'll just give them to you later. I was like, oh my God, thank you. Thank you for stealing my car and problem solving without me, because I probably would have cried. It was really, really stressful. A lot of inspectors just following me around all night. So,
but don't you find, like, as event people, that once you work with some vendors a couple of times and not only has the friendship formed, but the trust has been built, then you find that when you get approached with new events, you're going to go to your crew. Like, you have certain people that you're going to always call for this, and this. And I think that happens a lot in this industry, is not clicks per se, but it just, things work out that way where you end up getting a lot of different events together under the same belt, even though you're totally different companies.
It's also really hard when there's also so much turnover, I feel like, in the industry as well. So when we work with like recurring catering partners, many of them get new like banquet leads or salespeople. And so whoever our contact is specifically for catering, I'm thinking of this because in the area, this is something we struggle with. We have a hard time using consistent caterers because they always are new people that we're working with. And so the level of service changes each time, which is very frustrating.
Yes.
So both ways, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I do want to hear how the podcast came to be. So when did that start and how's it been going?
All right, I'll jump in to start, I guess.
Mary, we were waiting for you, but Logan's going to take it.
Yeah, we have. I always credit that Mary had the idea first of having a podcast. And she is very good at having new ideas and then finding an accountability buddy to continue to make it happen. And so I felt very, very honored, and working together, we felt like a lot of our experiences were complementary. Both of us also having our own businesses, but also now it's been even more interesting. The podcast has been going for, Mary, 5 seasons? 2021 was when we started. We're at over 215, 220 episodes. We record them every week, every single Wednesday, wherever you listen to podcasts, and we take a break, only 2 weeks off at the end of the year. So we've been nice and consistent. And I think a lot of it was, with events, there's not really a formal degree. I know some programs and universities are starting to have that, but like there really wasn't a lot of your experience of why you got good at what you're doing is by experience. And one of the things I love about freelance life is getting to experience a lot of different styles and different types of, work structures and all of that. And so you just always want to be a fly on the wall. And that was part of our idea with the podcast, was to allow people to be a fly on the wall in our conversations, bring in cool people that we were meeting in the industry and showcase their expertise, but also you get to be a fly on the wall for those conversations, and just have some real talk behind the industry that you only get when you become close with other people who are doing what you're doing. So yeah, it was really a podcast that I wish was around when I first got started, because I think it would have made a lot of tough scenarios a little easier to know that I wasn't alone in it. But Mary, what would you add to that about our podcast origin story?
Yeah, like you said, or we're alluding to, I think it's so interesting to see how it has grown, but then how we have grown, because we joke still that like we agree on everything. So anytime we say anything, we're always like, I love that. Yeah, thanks. Like that's always our response to everything in an episode. But you get like the occasional time when we're like, wait a minute, this is like I actually have a different experience. And I think some of that has come, look, and I'm trying to remember the episode, but there was some episode that was, I think about like how like our teams or our structures, or I can't remember exactly what it was, but that is where we started to see like a difference. And I think that is a really wonderful thing to be able to represent as well. And we still agree with each other. It's just different perspectives. And yeah, so I appreciate all of the agreeable moments, and I appreciate to see how we've grown and how we've been able to share that. So if you go listen to like our first episodes, I think that they're pretty different than the episodes that you hear now. But, you know, speaking of that, ironically, some of our most popular episodes are the ones from the very beginning. So it's just kind of funny. I don't know if you experienced that as well for this podcast.
Well, usually people get into podcasting because they listen to podcasts. And so Libby and I have both been avid podcast listeners for a very long time. Totally different genre. I mean, I guess you could look at some similarities between true crime and events, possibly, but pretty much different genre.
There's always an urge to murder. Just always. Just kidding. There's not, but sometimes.
So it's interesting to me how much more common podcasting has become, and how it's easier to produce. I even read an article the other day that there's a Walmart back east that is getting a podcast studio put in. Like we used to go to like JCPenney's or Sears for headshots or glamour shots or whatever you want to call it.
People can just go in and rent it.
Now you can go into Walmart podcasting and make content. So like, I don't know if that's a foreshadow of what's to come. I don't know that. I don't know. I just think it's interesting, but I also read a lot of stats that it's like there's still so much opportunity in podcasts because of the population and how many people are listening and all those things. So it's also kind of hard to go back and listen to yourself. Like, I'm sure you guys have had that experience. I'm like, does my voice really sound like that? Why do I say so many times? And then Tamar's like, oh, you have no idea how many of those I actually edited out. I'm like, oh my gosh,
Tamar.
it's terrible.
Just twist the dagger.
Yeah, I think there's also, when we were first getting started, it was, that perfectionism of wanting to be good before we launched. And that was something that I'm sure you guys have experienced as well. Just having a buddy, having another person helping make sure you do it. Cause we've been able to set deadlines and be like, no, it just like the only way to get better at podcasting is by podcasting.
Exactly.
And I feel like maybe right after COVID or during COVID, it did feel like a lot of people had podcasts. And then we are very proud to be that one of the longest continuous going. Like there's a lot of event pros out there that had podcasts that I wish I had their contact info, because a couple of them were like really good and they just stopped. And I'm assuming because they got busy, life happens. Like even Mary and I every spring and fall have to do a solo episode or two that we can then record in our own time because schedules just don't work out. But it has just made it that we have to be ahead, thinking ahead of what our schedules are. And that's kind of helped us with the longevity of sticking with it. Because I think I feel like we get it less now, Mary. Now more people I think it's interesting. Before I feel like it was when we were starting, like, oh, another podcast. Everybody's got a podcast. And, people.
But it's very niche, it's very niche. And so I do think that makes it very different for sure.
What's something that both of you have learned from the podcast in an interview, or just through a series of interviews, maybe through many of them, but something that you've learned that you've implemented in your own work? Because I love hearing tips and learning things from our guests and from other podcasts. I don't always remember. Sometimes I'm like, oh, that's so great. I'm definitely going to do that. And then I forget, but
don't worry.
I want to remember.
Libby,
so what do you want to remember that you've learned, or what do you actually do?
I mean, we pride ourselves on tangible tips and tricks with our episodes. So I feel like there's a lot of podcasts out there, especially in the event industry, that talk big strategy and trends. And we found a hunger with our listeners for I need one nugget I can tomorrow apply to my event and I will be better about it. And that's, we love doing a random bonus tip at the end of our episodes, which are very unfiltered, usually from something Mary or I just experienced. Like I talk about, get your printing plan. If you need to print run of shows, Libby, you love your clipboard. Like do that the day before or 2 days before. And like, you might have to get creative. I think for show callers and producers, we've all fought with a printer before. It's a very universal experience. And so that's one, but we've had like, who came on? Liz Latham was talking about different ways to have, experiences at your events, but putting people in a room together with some cheese and wine and saying that's a networking event is not a networking event.
Right.
And it's just one that we all know. A lot of things I feel like we hear on the podcast, we know, but sometimes you just had to hear them a different way for it to be like, yes,
I agree with
clicked. And that's one I honestly keep thinking back to her when we're planning our own conference right now for our listeners. And we say we're doing the unconference, and I feel like everyone says the unconference, but we're truly doing more interactive. I say when I go to conferences, all I want to do after I hear a keynote or something is like sit and talk to my table or whoever was in my row and be like, okay, what did you actually think about that? Did that really make sense? Does like this make sense? Or how are you going to apply that, to what we're actually doing? Again, taking big concepts and actually applying them. And that is something we're trying to do with the conference, is give people space to talk. But Mary, do you have another tangible takeaway from one of our guests?
I'm thinking in like recent terms. We had another guest on, Kelly Thorpe, and she's talking about beyond bookkeeping. And so sometimes we have, professionals come on and talk about like more like business related things, not necessarily event specific, but of course always tied into events in some way. And she was sharing just like a lot of really wonderful things she gave some real talk about like, if you don't know your finances, basically like, what are you doing? And Kelly, if you hear me talking about this, I'm not going to word it as well as you did, but it was kind of like the kick in the pants that I needed. That was like, you need to understand your financials, and there are people who can help you do that. And she was kind of talking us through some tips and tricks that we can use on our own. But for me, when I was listening to that, because that's not something I'm great at. And so I was like, you know what? I think it's time that I really just need to figure this out. I really need to like dig in and just do the thing.
It resonated, Kelly. Thank you.
It resonated, Kelly. Thank you. But yeah, like Logan said, we do these off the cuff episodes, and those sometimes are the ones that like selfishly resonate. It's just Logan and I, so it's not a guest, but I'm like, we just, we pull like what's going on recently that we want to talk about. And for me, that is very like freeing to be able to just like, here's really what's going on. And usually it's based on struggles, stuff that's been a little bit rough. And so it's nice selfishly just to be able to like, I think, get that off the chest, and hopefully it helps other people as well.
A little solidarity. Logan, I'm really glad you brought up the event, because I was going to ask you too about this. Alysse and I were going to go last year, and then we had scheduling conflicts because we found out about it too late because we're just not cool. But we obviously know about it this year, and we will be going. We're very excited. But can you please tell, what's really cool is that it's a 2-parter, or it could be a 1-parter, but I love the 2-part component, virtual and in person. And I love for you guys to give some tips or just kind of a spiel to people about what they can expect without giving away the secrets.
Yeah, no, we're an open book about the conference. It is, the 2025 Better Events Conference. It's being held virtually on Wednesday, October 1st, and then in person in Seattle on Thursday, December 18th. It's our 3rd year doing the conference. So similar to the podcast, it's kind of a labor of love. We created something from nothing, and it's been really fun to put ourselves in our clients' shoes, where we're often helping advise them on some of the decisions, but we're not necessarily making the decisions. But with our own conference, it's like, oh, we got to figure out ticket prices. We got to figure out what time to launch registration. We got to decide how long of a day we want. And, all of that is both exciting and daunting. Personally, and Mary, I know you agree with this, but I believe there's no conference or event like this out there. Again, we are really ditching the whole PowerPoint talking at you format. The last 2 years, we've had a virtual day. Last year was the first year in person. So we've taken lessons learned from both of those experiences and are applying them to this year. So virtual is going to be a lot of interactive workshops. We have found you can still have serendipitous connections with other event pros virtually. And our podcast audience is not regional. They're really all over the place. And so doing a virtual day helps us also keep it really cost efficient for people to join, and then you don't have to get on a plane if you're busy. So we'll do conversation starters like we do on the podcast. We do that at the start of episodes when it's just Mary and I, because our brains need a moment to warm up. So we've done those both in person and virtual. And what was it, Mary? Our in-person day last year, I feel like we had a little crew of people who were obsessed with their air fryer, because we said one of our questions was, what is your most used kitchen utensil? These like 6-7 people for the rest of the conference that day were just bonded and multiple times brought it up how much they love their air fryer.
Fryer, we get it, folks, but also we love it. We love the connection.
You never know who hired who for an event or brought them. Like, that was just the catalyst for that. So that's the virtual day. And then in person, we just had a lot of fun we were in Tacoma last year, doing things like we did a CEO day reflection period of time. So that was a workshop for about an hour where you were sitting there and thinking about on your career. Again, service industry, we think about others a lot and don't think about ourselves. And so the in-person day is meant to be in December, end of year. You're kind of reflecting, what do you personally actually want to do next year? And we did a cool, write a letter to future you, which it's almost August. And so, or it's in August, I have to mail the August letters that people earmarked. We let everyone write a letter and seal it up and tell us when to mail it to them. So that was something I loved. But Mary, what else would you,
a cool component,
you add to the conference plug?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're passionate about it, and it's a great excuse to try something new, because it is first, it's a community of event professionals, so that's super intimidating because we like nice things, but then also it's a nice community that understands, we're just going to try this crazy idea and see if it works, because we can't try it on the events that we're getting hired for. So we're going to try it on you all and see if it's a good experience.
Yeah, we'll guinea pig for you for sure.
Yeah, exactly. It's a fun little test group. But yeah, we like to say that our promise is to make sure that attendees leave with one new tip or trick or perspective that they can apply immediately to their events. And then also that they will meet at least 3 new people in the events community, which is if you can't meet 3 people and come to our conference, then you lock yourself in the bathroom the whole time, because there are so many opportunities to meet. You'll probably almost meet everybody in the room, actually, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. On I think it's your most recent episode, but it was kind of like a round robin of little recorded tidbits from people, which I thought was really cute. But there was a gal who specifically referenced the event and how her business has grown since then and how much she loved it. So I thought that was really cool. Such a great testimonial from someone who lived it.
And I love that you guys are so collaboration forward, because we have an abundance problem. There's more than enough to go around. There's so many events. There's not going to be less events in the future. AI is not going to take away events, right? It's going to change how some things get done with events, but it's not going to take anything away. And so this is a community. I've worked in a lot of different industries, and I just find the events community, maybe because they just love to party, and they are a little loco, but it's usually the best group of people. It really is. I'd love to know, as we start to wind things down, we do always love to ask, what's the craziest thing that went wrong? And of course I want to know that. But what I really want to know is would you have an event or a moment at an event, something that you're this was if it all ended tomorrow, this was my swan song. I feel really good about this one event or this one moment of an event.
See, we always like to bring true crime back into it. If this was your last event on earth, if Keith Morrison was telling your story, what would you have done the day before you disappeared?
I mean, for me, it was when I was a kid, I always said I wanted to go to the Olympics. I wanted to be an Olympic athlete. I was going to be Mia Hamm, and then I was going to be Lisa Leslie, and then I didn't grow any taller. And so then it didn't continue. I still to this day say curling is forever my backup sport. I could still dedicate my life to curling, but I did. It's kind of twofold. I got to work the Tokyo Olympics. It was COVID. It got canceled. So my contract got canceled. Then I got rehired. So it was just this whole stressful, will it happen, won't it? But it felt very full circle that I felt to my parents, I was I made it. I said I was, and because I evolved, I said, well, now it's not that I'm going to compete at the Olympics, but I'll be paid to be at the Olympics. And so I did that in Tokyo, but there weren't any fans. But I remember just multiple pinch me moments, videos I took in my room of just kind of, this is so cool. And then most recently I got to work in Paris, and I convinced my parents to come over, and I was I don't know my schedule. Epic. I just think I was buy the flight, just book a hotel, and we'll figure it out. And I know they had the best time seeing they saw more sports than I did. But it was really, really cool of just, again, something I said I was going to do. I didn't really know when I was a kid what that would evolve into, and then have it come out. And yeah, the Olympics are just, they're always constantly pinch me moments. Yeah.
You did it. You achieved the dream, just a different way. Alysse, you could just cheer at a pickleball thing.
Well, no, but that
something.
reminds me of the fact that when I was like 12 or 13, my bedroom wall was wallpapered in full pages out of magazines. And never in a million years did that girl think she would end up running a magazine, right? So I do think it's always there when you look back, hindsight being 2020, you look back, you can find the things that make you, that lead you to where you end up. Like the connections are all there. What about you, Mary?
As you all are talking, I'm like, there's so many running through my brain. And I think that's why we are crazy event people, all of us. That's why we keep coming back, because there's so many moments when it's like, oh my gosh, how cool is it to be a part of something that is so much bigger than me? Like, especially doing a lot of nonprofit, as you all know, it's like you see these heartfelt videos and speakers and you're like, if I have anything to do with like helping this be successful, how cool. So I think there's just so many small moments, but I think that my answer is the most fulfilled I've ever felt from an event is the ones that we've created. So whether it's the conference or I used to, it's not a goal anymore. I used to have a goal where every year I was going to create my own event, because it just felt like it was such a like fulfilling experience to be able to almost like, further invest, like we were talking about. You're not just planning it, but you're fully in charge of the success or failure of the event and have the repercussions of it as well. So to have people come together and you see them connecting and it's something that you've created, there's that's like even more special kind of magic. I mean, I don't think I can beat the Olympics, but that's my answer. I think that's something that's really great. Yeah.
Everybody's got their own Olympics. It's just, it doesn't always have to be the Olympics.
Well, and it's funny that because when you talk about the Olympics, I see the joy that it brings you, but I hear Olympics and after working for an NBC station for so many years, I'm like, oh, we're talking about the Olympics again already. Why are we already talking about the Olympics? Because I mean, it was always, there's such a big deal that they were always talking about it, no matter what time of year it was, no matter if we were a year out, 2 years out, like, we were already planning for the next one when that one just wrapped. So it's so funny how people have different attachments to things.
Oh, Alysse, you're not alone. I already told somebody, I was like, yeah, I'm getting ready. I want to Winter Olympics. I've been having a hard time breaking into. And I'm like, well, I might just go. I volunteered in 2018 in Korea with Team USA. And so I was like, threw my name into that again. And somebody was like, oh, the Olympics already. They were just last year. And I was like, the way it works,
just ended.
Yeah, it's just,
I was like, but this is the short window. I was like, summer to winter. It's only really 18 months. Yeah. And then it's a long window to get back to summer again. So
yeah.
Then it's 2.5 years. I mean, come on.
Exactly. It's going to feel really long. And especially, LA 2028, I'm sure we're going to be hearing about that as soon as the winter ones are over in February. But
I'm sure.
Yeah.
See, Alysse, if they had pickleball in the Olympics, that maybe it would have been on your thing.
Maybe.
I think that could be your Olympics.
Maybe.
Pickleball with your dad.
I'm still intrigued about the life saving. I still think that's very interesting. Well, I mean, they've been. What was the one they added the last summer? That was it skateboarding? Was that when it was new? Skateboarding was new.
Yeah, skateboarding, so
and then anytime they add anything new, I think that's cool when they add new ones. I think that's really cool.
Follow your dreams. Yeah, life saving. Just Libby, don't go to Great Wolf Lodge for your training.
No Great Wolf Lodge. And if there was a podcast Olympics, I don't think that we would qualify. Because we don't give tips at the end of our episodes. You talk about poop dollar. That's what happens.
It's true. I tell stories that my husband wishes I was not sharing with the world. But you know what? That's okay. I do want to say one other thing. I do really like the kind of the warm-up question you guys do at the beginning. And I'm also referencing the most recent episode because that's the most recent one I listened to. But Mary, I think, was it you, Mary, who said you like to call people? And was that you?
Oh, that was Logan.
Was that Logan? Okay.
Because I was the one that was like, I don't like to talk to people.
You don't like to talk.
Yeah.
You like to do person, but Logan, you like to call people? Because when I heard that, I was like, oh my God, it's like I am here with Alysse. Because sometimes she'll be like, okay, well, I'm driving to, I'm making an 8-hour drive to Bend tomorrow, so I'll just call you. I'm like, okay, I do want to talk to you, but just so you know, I cannot talk to you the whole time you're driving.
I have to break.
I love a phone call. I love a phone call, Logan.
It's a great time to get some connection in when you're driving. What else are you going to do?
Yeah, I'm a newer, like I haven't had a car in in over 10 years now. I do. And I'm like, oh yeah, when you're stuck in a car for an hour, I'm like, who could I call?
Perfect time for
Yeah,
calls.
I could
Calls
talk to
and
someone.
podcasts. That's what happens in cars. Calls and podcasts.
Exactly. I got stuck in where did I get stuck? Detroit, and tried to catch a flight to Chicago. And I decided to drive the 4 hours from like 10 p.m. till 2 a.m. and called one of my best friends from college because I was like, she's not going to be out tonight. She'll probably answer if she's awake. And she stayed on the phone with me for 3 hours. She read me several New York Times articles. We discussed current events.
What a beautiful friendship.
Yeah. She was like, are you almost there? I was like, almost. You literally almost talked me all the way to Chicago, and I love you for it.
Alysse, I would talk you from Detroit to Chicago. Okay. If it kept you asleep.
Well, we know that I would fall asleep if
would
I'm not talking to
definitely
someone.
do
We
that.
know that I would fall asleep. So that is why I call people on longer drives, because I have a tendency to nod off wherever I am. I went in to get my lashes done the other day, and I walked in. I said, I just want to let you know I'm probably going to fall asleep today. And she said it wasn't even like, it was less than 5 minutes. She watched the clock, less than 5 minutes, and I was snoring.
At least you give a warning. I would think you would just sleep every time, the whole time. But
I mean, usually
I would. That's when I used to
Yeah.
get them done. That's what I did.
Yeah.
Thank you for staying awake during this podcast.
Yeah, totally stayed awake. You're welcome.
Our
You're
next
welcome.
episode is about narcolepsy. Yep.
What
kidding.
to
I'm
do
not
for the
starting rumors. Alysse
sleepers
does not
at
have
your
narcolepsy.
event. No, but I thought I should get tested because I love to sleep, girl. I love to sleep.
You do.
Well, we're going to put in the show notes where people can find you. But I mean, I did bring it up. So is there like a terrible thing that happened at an event you guys want to share? Because we've got a lot of stories that we can share. So, I mean,
We won't.
Game recognizes game. So like, do you have a real doozy?
I have an almost doozy, but it turned out okay. But good.
Good.
That's
a happy ending.
Okay.
Happy doozy. We just had an event in Seattle where there was like a
Happy
headliner.
doozy.
There's a headliner, and now ever since then I'm like, is there a headliner at an event? Because I don't like it. I don't want it, because we use them in the branding of the event. We sold VIP experiences based on their attendance, and then we heard 2 hours before the event that they likely wouldn't be able to make it because they were having like a mental crisis, and it was going to be a huge deal if they weren't there. Like nobody would have lived up to their precedent. Mm-hmm. They got it together. They came. It was one of the most amazing things I've ever been a part of. So that's why it was happy, but it could have been just like an absolute train wreck. We would have had to refund people. Like, ugh.
I mean, the stress alone is probably, it was probably just as much as if it hadn't happened. Just thinking about what you're going to have to do. You're like, oh no.
But also props to that person for also paying attention to their mental health and judging whether or not it was right for them. Like, I get both sides of it as someone who does a lot of work in the mental health space. Like, I do get both sides of it. And, but yeah, people don't have any idea. The average person has no idea what goes into an event. They think a 2-hour event is just like something you maybe started that morning. They literally have no idea.
I'll let Mary's story be the story, just because I feel like I've blocked out a lot of the ones, and the ones that I could tell are quite long. So we'll save the listeners. There's definitely things go wrong. And I mean, I do joke that's when we shine as event professionals. I mean, when events go smooth, sure, we love them, but there's a part of you that's kind of like, oh, I was ready. And then
I was ready for that backup plan.
That they're like, oh yeah. My only thing I'd say, here, pro tip for anybody who's an event professional: have a bag of random items. You never know what you need. I most recently went through sets of earplugs that I'd taken from international flights. They give you the little individual wrapped ones because I was like, I don't need them. Saved 2 of my anthem singers because it was a horrible sound system delay. And there's nothing as satisfying as someone going, does anyone have earplugs? And getting to go into your random bag and be like, I do.
That's amazing. I never thought about earplugs. I'm going to put that in my event kit. That's a really good tip.
You have a lot of things in that kit, but that's a good one. I don't know. Yeah.
Earplugs, I would never have thought about that, but I am going to put those in there. It really is. Somebody asked me yesterday at the soccer tournament for a hair tie. I don't know why I felt so great about it, but I was like, I do have a hair tie right here. Also, it was my only hair tie. So I just want everyone to recognize the level of martyrdom that I am at right now for giving my only hair tie on an 85-degree day in the sun to an 8-year-old player. Well, she was 9, but still.
You're a real giver, Libby.
So hair ties also go in the event kit.
Yes.
Mother Teresa.
Yes.
Hair ties and earplugs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right, Alysse, bring us home before I get off on a
sorry.
tangent.
I was thinking about other things in the kit. Well, that's a wrap on this episode of Beats Working, winning the game of events. If you have an idea or you want to reach out, you can email us at info@beatsworking.show. Remember, every detail matters, every moment counts, and no matter what, the show must go on.
Thanks for listening to Beats Working, winning the game of events, where we explore what it takes to make moments unforgettable.
If you're leaving with a little more inspiration, a little more perspective, and a big side ache from all of the laughing at our funny jokes, then we've done our job.
Beats Working is a Work P2P production. If you've enjoyed this episode, please don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review us on your favorite podcast platforms.
Your support helps us keep the magic going.